So, free speech should cost how much? And free association? How much should it cost to have a plate at the table? Sean McCutcheon, a fat cat, has gone crying to the Supreme Court because he wants to spend more for free speech. He wants to raise the price of free speech in competition in efforts to be heard over others. He wants it to cost more to associate freely with lawmakers and influence their decisions that affect us all. He would inflate the cost of free association as it relates to public service. Isn't it expensive enough? It's more than I can afford. I call Jack Kingston's office and an aide handles my concern, but Jack never hears my voice. But if a donor with $5,200 would call Sean McCutcheon, that call would be returned. And Mr. McCutcheon thinks he should be allowed to make those return calls even more expensive. Contributors can go all the way, constituents like us can go all the way out to the congressman's office out there by the landings, but they'll never associate with him. His walls are lined with plaques presented in banquets and pictures of him with business leaders. Who can afford to pay the cost of free association with their congressman? And McCutcheon wants to up the ante to sit at the table with our public servants. Politicians routinely close their speeches with, "God bless America." But they have changed their God. Jesus gave that God a name. His name is Mammon, the God of wealth and power, the God of privilege and greed, the God who gives access to only the few and shoves aside the many. Mammon feeds scrumptiously at fundraisers, but cuts off the food stamps of Lazarus. Mammon listens to the calls of the health care insurance companies with their expensive lobbyists and turns his back on 15,000 Americans a year dying for lack of adequate health care. Mammon beats working people with the stick of personal responsibility and gives carrots to those with gold-plated insurance policies. This other God than the God who has given America its great wealth, this other God, Mammon, is worshipped by Sean McCutcheon and leans heavily on Jack Kingston and all the other politicians, Republicans and Democrats alike, who wage campaigns in free elections that cost so much. To my brothers and sisters in the Christian Coalition and the Republican Christian Right, I plead, return from the idolatry to Mammon. Mammon did not give you this land and its prosperity. Why would you push and shove for places at the table of the powerful while working people are ground into despair and dead-end prospects? Why do you join the fat sheep in pressing the lean? Why do you trample on their food and foul their water? With Mammon, there is no free speech. But God, the God who has blessed America, the little cries of the little people are heard. They can speak freely, and God listens. With Mammon, there's no free association, but God invites everyone to his feast. People on the street, the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame, and the Sean McCutcheons have already received their comfort. They have the good things in this life, and they only hunger for more. I urge the Supreme Court to just say no. Return to the God of this country's youth. Don't let McCutcheon widen the chasm between the rich and the rest of us. The God who has blessed America sees when the land switches its God to Mammon. Hears cries for justice, righteousness, loving kindness, tender mercy. Our God lives. and there is a hell. No public servant can serve two masters. The servant will hate the one and love the other, or be loyal to the one and have contempt for the other. To our servants I speak freely. You cannot serve the God who blesses America and Mammon, the God of wealth.